got Syracuse and Pittsburgh next up in the ACC. Pittsburgh 3.5-point home favorites, 51 the total in this game. My numbers tell me I should be betting Syracuse here because, I think that they are the better squad right now than Pittsburgh. But at the same time, I'm worried that the train is going to fall off the rails here for the Syracuse Orange. I mean, you saw the bubble burst loss against Clemson. They didn't have a very good response last week against Notre Dame. It's why, even though I said Notre Dame, this looks like a bargain on Syracuse, but I just can't back them after losing that first game in a heartbreaking fashion that they did against Clemson. And sure enough, they got off to a terrible start against Notre Dame, and they never recovered. They were down, 21-7 at halftime, and they just never recovered from that point. We saw definitely Garrett Schrader, obviously not able to finish that game. They had to go to Carlos Del Rio Wilson at quarterback to finish up for Syracuse, and he struggled, so that didn't help either. So keep an eye on the status of Schrader for Syracuse going into that game, and the defense obviously struggled to stop the run. I mean, for Audric Estime for Notre Dame, 123 rushing yards. Kind of, I think, a domino effect of the Clemson game because the Syracuse defense was on the field a lot against Clemson, and they looked like they were definitely, tired, worn down from that Clemson game, the bad tackling as well against Notre Dame. And that's the evidence of a tired defense. So Garrett Schrader's day-to-day with that injury that he suffered. We will see if he's able to go in this one. Garrett Williams, one of their key defensive backs in the secondary, left the game with a lower body injury as well. He's questionable. So it's a banged-up football team. That being said, on the flip side, here's Pitt falling apart right before our eyes as well. 2 straight losses, Louisville by 14, romped by North Carolina, couldn't stop Drake May and that Tar Heels offense. So Pitt looks like they're falling apart. Both of these teams look like they're falling apart right now and going in the opposite direction. So not an easy game to handicap early in the week, especially when we don't know the status of Garrett Schrader at quarterback for Syracuse. What do you think here, C-Mac, Cuse, and Pitt?
Yeah, this one I really don't want anything to do with. It just was shocking. Notre Dame just ran all over them, and then Syracuse couldn't run it, which at all. They had like 6 yards or something like that. It just, and then they kind of had to abandon it because they got down 21-7, and that wasn't good. Nothing makes me want to run to Pitt. They are at home here. I got to see what Schrader did. The backup. What was his name? You said again?
Del Rio Wilson.
Del Rio Wilson. I mean, he was okay. 190 had a TD and a pick. It wasn't great. I caught the end of it. So this one's difficult for me. Totals at 50. I don't really have a lean to the over or the under. I got to maybe look into a little more and in on the injury. So kind of one that's nothing. Pass.
It's funny because you're right. Pitt should run the football pretty well against that D line of Syracuse. That's an advantage for Pitt, but the Syracuse defense up front, they've been getting pressure. And Pitt's offensive line, I mean, they've been basically let Keaton Slovis take a beating here in recent weeks. So interesting dynamics there with the matchup on both sides of the ball for this one with Syracuse.